Sage advice for a better life. We are a 24/7, 365 days online counseling portal. We provide wholesome guidance and support to people in times of need. With a panel of qualified and experienced counselors available around the clock to listen, understand, and guide you through. Sage Advice is a social enterprise driven by its vision of a happier society and people leading empowered, richer, and fulfilling lives. We strive every day to help you navigate through life with lesser stress and worry. Our general counseling vertical is very well complemented by wellness and life coaching. Our life and wellness coaches, also available all the time, are constantly inspiring you to strive and to be the best version of yourself. Sage Advice has a core belief that all aspects of human life must function well together, like an orchestra where all instruments are in perfect harmony. With this view, we offer career counseling for students both at school and at the college level. Our career counselors also bring several years of experience and astute judgment to help you navigate through career change, countering work stress, and help make strategic decisions if you contemplate a career shift. Sage Advice is all about self-improvement, growth, and healing, be it the body, mind, or your relationships. We help you break barriers, fight complexes, overcome fears, shame, and vulnerability to forge ahead with extreme confidence and claim a better life.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Sage Advice, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. As you have seen from our slide, from the video, Sage Advice is an online counseling portal dealing with various mental health issues. As a part of our initiative to promote mental health, we have launched a We Care webinar series aimed at creating awareness about mental health as well as destigmatization of mental health conditions. And as our team brainstormed on various topics, we decided to zero in on a relevant but a neglected topic: procrastination. The let's do it later phenomenon. This topic assumes spatial significance in today's pandemic times, as most of us have experienced it a little more often in the lockdowns. As a child, I've often heard this couplet of poet Sant Kabir Das, as I'm sure so have most of you. काल करे सो आज करे सो अब, पल पे प्रलय होएगी, होरी करेगा कब. Literally, it means do the work that needs to be done. There is no other time than now. Basically, Kabir has clearly tried to explain the human tendency of procrastination. One can, although whether or not you can do it, whether it is work, whether it is your job, your college assignments, we all tend to put it off sooner or later. So the pralay that Kabir is referring to could be a flood of time. Time will wash away the meaningfulness of what you do if you fail to do it at the right moment. This brings us to the topic of our webinar today on procrastination. Procrastination is the act of delaying or putting off tasks until the last minute or past their deadline. No matter how well organized and committed you are, chances are that you have found yourself frittering away hours on trivial pursuits, like watching TV, updating Facebook status, Insta stories, online shopping, etc., when you should rather have been spending that time on other pursuits, like work or school-related projects, household chores, etc. This procrastination can have a major impact on your job, your grades, your life. The reality is that If you wait until you are in the right frame of mind to do certain tasks, especially undesirable ones, you will probably find that the right time simply never comes along and the tasks never get completed. We keep putting off the tasks because either they are boring or challenging. We all have experienced this at some time or the other. In fact, everyone is a pro at it. Procrastination makes you one by default. Let's understand this a little better and a little more in depth. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce the team presenting the webinar. Let me start by introducing myself. I'm Sharma's doctor, the Chief Counselor at Sage Advice. I'm an MA in Medical and Psychiatric Social Work from TISS. I'm practicing psychotherapy since the past approximately 30 years. I'm also a certified cognitive hypnotherapist and a life coach. Divya Ganesh. Divya has completed her master's in applied psychology and specialized in counseling from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. With 3.5 years of experience in this field, Divya deals with issues like relationship problems, procrastination, goal setting, anxiety, stress, to mention a few. Nupur Gawekar. Nupur has completed her MSc in clinical psychology. She has been trained in RE and CBT, transactional analysis, art and play therapy. She specializes in working with children, adolescent, and young adults, and also conducts workshops on various topics pertaining to mental health and well-being. Let us now begin exploring the phenomenon of procrastination with a small video clip, and then Divya will take it forward. And before we play that small video clip, I'm sure all of you noticed that the introduction was just written as intro and it was not completed. So we went on procrastinating, thinking of various suitable topics. Procrastinated to the extent that today we present the slide to you as just an intro. And take this forward from here. Over to you, Divya.
Thank you so much, Sharma. That was a really beautiful introduction. Hi guys, hope you people are doing safe and healthy in this pandemic. So I'm going to be playing a video before I actually jump into what exactly is procrastination. And after playing this video, I'm sure some people would be wondering what's wrong in this video. I'll play it and then I'll talk about it. Let's get into it.
Hey, Anos. Key, Ling, ha 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 ha, hack the universe, ha 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 ha, hack the universe, ha ha ha, key, Ling, hack the universe.
So I'm sure that when you had watched that video, everyone had a doubt that what's wrong with it. He had completed the assignment that was given. There was no problem at all. What was given to him, he had finished. But let's understand one thing. We always think that when we say yeah, we are given a task, we tend to do it in a later moment. We always think that, you know what, I'll just do it later. I'll not think about it now. I'll postpone it. It's just 10 minutes more. We tend to minimize all of that. And as Sherna was sharing, procrastination is nothing but the act of delaying things. We put off things until the last minute. And we never know the last minute unless we realize, okay, it's too late. And we always have a common doubt, isn't it? Is procrastination same as laziness? But to be honest, no. Procrastination and laziness are two different terms. Let's hear it from Sherna on what she has to say, and she'll be talking about it in detail. Sherna, you're muted, Sherna.
Thank you, Divya. And no, procrastination and laziness are not one and the same. There is a very thin line of demarcation between procrastination and laziness. Procrastination is not avoiding to perform one's professional or other duties, doing work or so on, but rather about postponing them until the last moment, substituting them with other not so urgent activities. So this is an emotion management problem and not a time management problem. Laziness, on the other hand, is exactly about not working, not doing anything, and avoiding to make an effort by all means. Let me explain this with an example. Procrastination is something that I had done for this webinar. When we decided on the topic, I thought that I had a lot of time to prepare for this topic and present and make content for it. And I chose to do other tasks, perform my other duties until such time that there was no time left to make this presentation. And then it was a very rushed and an anxious, stressed out me was trying to prepare and present this webinar. Laziness is, I think quite a few of you may be able to relate to this. Say there is a pile of clothes lying on the bed and you just don't want to fold it. You have no intention of procrastination or doing it later on. You have no intention of doing it at all. So the pile keeps piling up. You keep shifting it, shoving it to one corner of the bed, and the pile keeps going. You'll make space for yourself on the bed for all other activities without touching that pile of clothes. And that is procrastination. That is laziness. Let's go further and understand from Divya what procrastination is all about. And as we go further in the webinar, let's learn some useful exercises. Let's learn about tips that we can. Let us give you some tips on how to deal with this procrastination in your day-to-day life. Divya, the next slide.
Just a minute, there's a pause. So as you can see in the screen, the reasons, the causes of procrastination. And as Sherna had beautifully mentioned, the difference between what is procrastination and what is the difference between laziness and that. Now, when we keep wondering, Isn't just doing 10 minutes later a reason? And isn't that enough? But in reality, even the 10-minute delay has a lot of reasons, and according to our personality, it definitely relates to it. Let's see in detail. Number one, the need for excellence or the need to be perfect. A lot of us do have a tendency to be perfect in whatever we do. And a slightest mistake or a slightest, let's say, clash to what we do, or it's not happening, we completely stop it. And we feel like, let's do it later. So the procrastination starts here. Second, the fear of failure. A fear is a very common emotion most of us under, right? And the fear of like not being acknowledged, or fear of not being validated, or the fear of they not accepting it is a big barrier we feel. And exactly that is also main cause for us to even start with something. And we generally just label it as starting trouble. You know what? I just know it's just a starting trouble. But in reality, it would be fear. Third thing, belief about working well under pressure. Let's not actually get into detail, but this is very, very common amongst a lot of teens over here, a lot of college students, a lot of school students. Any assignments, any homework, or to be very honest, it even applies to me for this age. Any task given to me at this moment, I feel like I'm actually working well only under pressure. Only if I know there's a deadline, I would work. To be very honest, for this webinar itself, the task when I told that I committed myself that I'm going to be presenting the webinar, you know what happened? I didn't even touch upon it the moment it was given. It was like I kept on procrastinating so long, and exactly in the midnight was the time I realized I have wasted my time so much. And that is the time I had actually sat and I had finished this within 40 minutes. Now, when we work under pressure, we keep thinking that I completed the job, there's nothing. But in reality, we don't know how the quality of the work is, right? So, quality of the work is the main aspect here. When we see that working well under pressure is happening, it's also a big question about the quality. Moving the last aspect, excessive distractions. Let's be very honest. In today's generation, we have so many distractions with us. It could be social media, it could be hanging out with friends, it could be the TV, so on and so forth. It's exactly about how much time do you spend on these distractions and how much time are you willing to just avoid them and focus on your work. Having excessive distraction is also one of the biggest reasons for procrastination. Now, moving on to the next slide, we all have that the moment we procrastinate and we just end up doing nothing the whole day, when we hit the bed in the night, there are very, very common emotions we all undergo, right? The moment we hit the bed, we have a lot of anger on ourselves. It's like I literally wasted the whole day. The anger is there. And we start self blame. The aspect that I shouldn't have wasted so much, I had so much time there, and etc. 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 We start self blame, guilt. I shouldn't have done this. Literally should have spent this. And the anxiety. Anxiety about what is going to happen. Now, I would like to inform you that I'm going to be talking about the emotions well in detail in a little while right now and just naming all of this emotion. Once we come back to the main aspect, I'll be talking and explaining about all these emotions and how we can handle this emotion. Now, let's come to the major aspect. How procrastination has really been a hit in this pandemic, right? And Nupu, my colleague, she'll be talking about this and she'll be giving few tips on how to even tackle that. Let's hear it from Nupu. Nupu, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Divya. Hello, everyone. My name is Nupur Gavankar, and I will be talking about procrastination in the pandemic. First of all, I would like to welcome each and everyone, and I am really happy that I can see so many people attending our webinar on a weekday. It really means a lot to us. So from Divya and Shanaz, we must have realized that procrastination has been a common phenomenon, and we all must have experienced this at least some point in our lives. But according to research and my own personal experience, I've realized that procrastination has increased drastically, especially during the pandemic. So in the next few slides, I will be talking about three stories of procrastination, particularly during the pandemic. If any of you can relate to any of these stories, please put that in the chat box. It will help us to get your point of view and at the same time connect with our audience. So we'll have our first story. So this story is about Jay. So Jay is a second year college student. So due to the pandemic, his whole college setup was shifted to the online medium. Now Jay has his online classes from morning 9 o'clock till evening, 5 o'clock. After 5, Jay has to help his mother in the household work. He has to finish his assignments. Basically, Jay has a very packed day. So the only time that Jay gets is at night. But instead of sleeping at night when he's actually very tired, he ends up, watching a movie or surfing through social media, YouTube, Instagram, and whatnot. The next day morning when he wakes up, he's usually tired and lethargic with low motivation. But he continues the cycle the next day as well. I think a lot of us can relate to Jay. I mean, I relate to Jay personally because I have been procrastinating, sleep procrastinating, particularly during the pandemic. So what is exactly Jay facing? So Jay is facing something, like I said, called as sleep procrastination. So before the pandemic, we had a fixed schedule. We used to wake up in the morning and we had to maybe catch a train or book a cab and go to our workplace or our college. If we are late, we have to, get a late remark or maybe a salary cut. So basically, we had this whole schedule. After that, at evening when we used to be back, it was nothing about work. It was all our personal life. But with the pandemic, there's no clear demarcation between our personal and our professional life. And the lines between them have been blurred. So now maybe our online class has been shifted from morning 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock to evening 6 o'clock. And children have to still attend their classes. So this is making them more tired and more worked up. So the only time that they get is at night. And we believe that night is my only time and my self-care time. So instead of sleeping, which is actually very important at that time, we end up sleep procrastinating. So now next story, which I will be talking about, is about Kia. Okay, so Kia is this 26-year-old married woman, and she's working in this IT company. Kia was very excited with the work from home setup, and she thought she'll get a lot of time at home to do another activities apart from her work. But few months into the lockdown, Kia realized that she's finding it very difficult to get organized and get things done on time. So what is Kia exactly facing is something that we would call as work procrastination. Now, this could have a lot of reasons. So one of the reasons, like Divya had mentioned, the need for excellence. So when she was in office, Kia had a lot of resources and she had a lot of people for support as well. So she could do her work perfectly. At home, maybe Kia has less resources to work on and she doesn't have that much of a social support. So maybe she's procrastinating because she realizes I'm not doing that great as I did before in my work setup. Another reason Kia might be sleep procrastinating is because Kia might realize that, okay, I'm at home. I don't have to leave my work at 7 o'clock and maybe catch a train. So why not I sleep in the afternoon for like 2 hours and get my work done later? This could be one of the reasons that Kia might be procrastinating. So, there are a lot of reasons why people tend to procrastinate at home also. And this phenomenon of Kia is called as work procrastination. Now I'll go to my third and my last story, which I wanted to discuss. The third story is about Mr. Jain. So Mr. Jain is this retired person having a fixed routine. Before the pandemic hit in, Mr. Jain used to go in the morning to buy vegetables. He used to, meet his friends in the evening, go for badminton. So basically, he had a fixed routine which involved a lot of outdoor activities. Now, when Mr. Jain had to stay at home because of the pandemic, he had changed his activities and he bought in a lot of household activities to do to keep himself busy. But however, Mr. Jain found out that he was finding it increasingly difficult to conform to the new routine and ended up delaying most of the tasks. So what is Mr. Jain exactly facing? There could be a lot of reasons. So maybe because from the story that we realize that Mr. Jain is somebody who likes routine and he likes going out. With the pandemic, he can't go out as often as he did before. He can't even meet his friends or go and play badminton as often. So that is why he's at home. So maybe the tasks that he took for himself are some boring compared to what he did before. Or it could be that they're challenging his level of expertise. And he's finding it increasingly challenging to do the household tasks, like helping his wife or, in cooking or in cleaning or maybe gardening. So this is the third story, which is about procrastination because of a task being boring or a task being challenging. So like I've been sharing all these three stories, I would like to also discuss about the various ways in which we can tackle procrastination during the pandemic and also otherwise. The first one, the first technique is about doing a cost and benefit analysis. So I will be explaining this technique with the help of Jay's example. So Jay, who is our college student and can do a cost and benefit analysis. So cost, it means your cons, that is the nuksan of doing a particular activity or an action. And benefit is the faida, which is the pros of doing a particular activity or an action. So Jay can do this cost and benefit analysis to understand if he should sleep late or he should not. Is delaying sleep worth it or it is not? When he does that, he can get a clear idea of is this particular activity helping me or not. So the next activity, the next technique which I'm going to talk about is about recognizing when we are engaging in self-depreciating thoughts. So a lot of time what happens is that when we procrastinate, we just realize that, okay, I have spent a lot of time and I have really less time to do. Or maybe we can't even finish our task in time. So now this leads to this cycle of our own negative thoughts and beliefs that I'm not good enough, I'm so stupid, mujhe kuch aata hi nahi hai. And this continues. Once we get this self-depreciating thoughts, this just goes on in circles and there is no end. So it is important to recognize when we are engaging in these thoughts and to stop them right there. One technique that I use is that I consider my thoughts to be bullies. So when there is a bully talking something to you, it does not mean anything about you, right? So the same way I consider my thoughts to be bullies, and I just try to, keep my thoughts away from my own existence. In this way, I'm focused on finding a solution to my problem as compared to doubting my own self abilities and my self worth. The third thing and the third activity I'm going to talk about is determining the underlying trigger. So this I will be explaining with the help of Mr. Jain's example again. So Mr. Jain can actually determine what is the most difficult task about an outdoor activity, for example, an indoor activity, for example, cooking. So he can think what is the most difficult thing about cooking, which is making me delay cooking. Once he's trying to introspect, Mr. Jain might realize that, okay, maybe cooking is something which I don't find interesting, it's boring for me. Or he might realize that, okay, it is challenging my own abilities and it is difficult than I thought it is. Once you get that answer, once you're introspecting, we might realize that, we might get an answer to our procrastination. And then we can look for ways in which we can manage that. So, maybe Mr. Jain, if it is boring, cooking is boring for Mr. Jain, he can either change that task or make it interesting by, say, playing music in the background or talking to his wife or just making a video call while cooking, or maybe reducing his activities of cooking and adding on something new in between to keep him occupied. So these are different things that Mr. Jain can use and make the task more fun. The next technique which I'm going to talk about is rewarding yourself for your small accomplishments. So with Kia, okay, so if I talk about Kia, we might realize that Kia is finding it difficult to get her work done in time. So how about Kia just decides that, okay, I'm going to be doing my one assignment and in 1 hour, the next 15 minutes are going to be me time. I'm not going to look at my work, but I will be treating myself with a small self-care routine or just having a video call or simply having a dessert if she likes. So this way she's going to be more motivated to finish her work and get to her self-care or whatever Kia likes. And she's rewarding herself for a small accomplishment. So the next activity, next technique I'm talking about is prioritizing the task. This I'll explain with Jay's example. Jay, our college student, can know what to prioritize and when. So when Jay is making a to-do list, he can know that at night, maybe at night if I'm talking about, sleep is going to be my priority. At afternoon, after I'm done with my classes, or maybe if I have a break in between, it's going to be my personal care, which is going to be my priority. In the morning, it's going to be my classes. In this way, Jay has this clear demarcation between what is important when, and he doesn't end up procrastinating any of it. Yeah, and the last thing which I wanted to talk about is to be compassionate. You know, we all have been discussing about procrastination and the techniques to deal with it. But we also need to understand that we are in the middle of a pandemic, and being in this lockdown and in this uncertain situation is not easy. We all must be going through our level of stress and anxiety, and I totally get that. So it's okay sometimes if you delay your task, it's okay sometimes if you procrastinate and take a day off or don't finish all the things on your to-do list. It's okay, it's important to be compassionate to yourself and to go easy on yourself. So like I've mentioned a few techniques in which we can deal with procrastination. I will have Divya, who will be talking about mental health and procrastination in our next slide. Over to you, Divya. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Logo. I really hope this is some realistic task and you can try it. Definitely. So now coming back to the topic about mental health and procrastination. And I would like to inform you that I'm not going to be talking about mental health to be specific. I'll be emphasizing on procrastination, and I would relate that with the mental health. Okay. Now, as you see, procrastination may not always be the emotional regulation problem. It can also be a result of mental illness. We have heard so many people telling about depression, about anxiety, about ADHD. And we've come across so many people relating it and then telling that how I'm not able to do task, how I feel very low, and how I feel very loss of interest. I'm not able to even get up from the bed. A lot of like we've been hearing, especially in this pandemic, this is something very common, right? So amongst all of this, I would like to inform that I'm going to be specifying what the anxiety. I would like to relate it with my personal example. I had a client who was a very enthusiastic person and who was very energetic person. She was so full of life that she wouldn't even delay any of her tasks for even 2 minutes. Any task, any presentation that was given, she would immediately do that. And that kind of person, the moment the pandemic hit, the moment the lockdown concept started and work from home concept started, she started losing herself. In the sense, the more this thing work from home was there, she was getting a lot of work. There was like extreme pressure, there was extreme stress. And when all of this had happened, she started getting very confused. She was unable to prioritize as which to do first and which not to. As days went on, she started losing interest in the job she was doing. The person who was like full of life stopped even caring about the work. She came to me and told that I'm not interested at all. I don't even feel like working. I feel like staying in the bed. I didn't really want to get up from that. All of these are the signs of an anxiety. And if we don't treat it right now, it will definitely lead to depression. Now coming back to this, now the feeling that I don't feel like doing, I've lost interest, I'm not able to get up. All of this is not procrastination. It has to be done more with the mental health. It is more to know that what exactly is happening. What is your emotional state of mind? And it is always good to have a check on how you're feeling these days. And it's very common that one day I get up early and one day I don't get up early. And that's absolutely okay. But the consistency of how much there is the emotional awareness, the loss of interest in the activity, the capability of even doing and despite don't feel like. All of this are the signs of your mental health, knowing that something is wrong. And at that time, please do consider seeking a professional help. Dealing things by yourself is definitely good, but not everything can be done by self. And I would really invite everyone to come and talk to a professional. And as sage advice, we definitely have a lot of experts dealing with various issues, be it from depression to clinical side or dealing with non-clinical aspects like relationship, procrastination, or let's say some day-to-day basis issues. And all of this can be definitely dealt more professional help, right? Now, coming back to the emotional. Remember just few minutes ago, I was talking about some emotions that happen, especially during the procrastination aspect. The moment you hit the bed, there are a lot of emotion that comes. ranging from anger, anxiousness, your guilt, your self-blame. All of it plays a huge role, right? And now I will be talking about few of this. How to control anger. Now, this is something very common that all of us do, or some of them do engage in few activities. For example, taking a walk, physical exercises like running, jogging, skipping, cycling, anything, etc. Journaling, talking to a friend, and that's something very interesting, right? Anytime we talk to a friend, it gives us pleasure. But when every time that is not happening, journaling is always there. And then taking deep breaths. Breathing exercise is seriously an amazing one and an effective one. Now, coming back to the next activity, anxiousness. How do we control anxiousness? A lot of us have a big question on I am actually having palpitation, I'm not able to breathe. There's a lot of like breathless issue I have right now. And all of it are a signs of anxiousness. Now, before I go and talk a little detail about this, I would like to do a small demo. Can I have a volunteer for this, please? Any volunteers? Masira, is there anyone?
Noshi Chakanyai.
Okay. Noshi, can you please help me and switch on your video, please?
Oh, I have to switch on my video. Give me 1 second. Yes.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. Hi. Can you see me?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Noshi?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Amazing webinar till now. I'm loving it.
Thank you so much. Now, have you heard about this grounding technique before?
No, not really.
Not really, right? Okay. So just like to introduce the concept. So grounding technique, I would again like to inform that this is not a permanent solution. This is something that can be done on a temporary basis.
Okay.
And anxiousness dealing can be dealt in a temporary way, and we can definitely go on with the day-to-day life. But the serious issue, definitely seeking a professional help is needed. Now, I would request you to do this activity as I say, and whatever I instruct, do as spontaneously as possible. Please don't take much time. Just like whatever you can see, whatever you can think, do it.
Okay.
Shall we start?
Yes, yes, of course.
Okay, perfect. So can you quickly tell me what are the 5 things that you see?
See, around me,
Yes.
I can see my TV.
Mm-hmm.
I can see my wallet. I
Okay.
can see my cushions.
Okay.
I can see the curtains. I can see the fan.
Perfect. And now, what are the 4 things that you can touch? I mean, the whatever objects that you mentioned, 4 things that you can touch.
Right now, I think I can touch my cushion pillow.
Mm-hmm.
I can touch my phone, which is right next to me, because
Okay.
the TV is a little far. I can touch the blanket. I can touch my wallet. And
Done.
yeah, four. Yeah.
4, right? Perfect. Now, what are the 3 things that you feel? Object-wise, the texture, all of it.
I can feel the bed sheet, the texture.
Right?
I can feel my hair, so the
Mhm.
texture.
Sure.
I can feel my scratch guard, if that is a thing. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Perfect. And what are the 2 things that you can hear right now?
I can hear the vehicles.
Right?
I can hear my parents talking outside.
Very good. Okay. Now, last one. What is that one thing that you can smell?
Nothing.
Okay. When you look closely, or even if it's not smell, one thing that you can taste.
I can taste peanuts because I was just having them.
Very good. Really amazing job, Noshi. You were as quick as possible.
Thank you so much.
Now, just quickly, can you tell me how did you feel when you were doing this activity?
I felt like I've never explored my room in such a way. and that if I'm doing it right now, I know where everything is placed. So
Right.
I just felt very happy, very getting to know your surroundings a little more.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your participation. Yeah. As Noshi was telling, and I was doing this experiment, she correctly told that how she can actually be attentive and she knows about her surrounding movement. This is exactly what this technique does. In the time of anxiousness, when you feel that there's a lot of palpitations and when you think that I just can't think about anything, a quick grounding exercise really puts you to the ground, makes you stay in the ground and be attentive about what is exactly happening around the surrounding. This is something that you all can try for yourself. 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can feel, all the object wise that you had mentioned earlier, 2 things that you can hear, and 1 thing that you can smell or taste. Trust me, this is such an effective exercise, and research has also proven this to be more effective in the time of anxiety. And as I mentioned earlier, I would like to repeat, this is not something permanent. This is for the temporary phase. Moving on to the next. The moment when you start feeling very guilt or self-blame yourself, I would like you all to go and practice the self-affirmation aspect. It is nothing but saying about positive things about yourself. Now, what is done. You procrastinated and you didn't do the task, it's okay. You still have the time. So, self affirming and telling positive things will really work. Now, I will move on to the last part of the presentation. And I would like Nupur to give a summarization of what we have spoken in the presentation so far. Over to you, Nupur.
Yes, thank you, Divya. I think the emotional building exercises will be really helpful for all of us, especially the grounding technique. So now we are moving towards the end of this webinar, and I will be talking about few takeaways, something that we discussed throughout in this webinar. Like you all must have realized until now that procrastination is an emotional struggle rather than a time management problem. Yeah, so we tend to procrastinate because maybe what we are doing is undesirable and we want to delay it further. But however, it is just going to lead to short-term relief, but will have its own long-term consequences. Now, Divya and I have discussed about a lot of techniques through which we can tackle procrastination. But however, certain techniques might be useful for a few, others might be useful for some other people, because it's because we all are unique and we all have our own coping mechanisms. And lastly, like I said, please be compassionate, because we are in the middle of a pandemic and it's not easy place to be in. So please take care of yourselves. And I will have Shanaz giving us a note, and we are open to questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Divya and Nupur, for a wonderful, comprehensive, and a very easy to understand explanation on a very neglected topic, that's procrastination, although it's something that we all of us do. And I'm sure as we discussed various emotional techniques, various grounding techniques, all kinds of techniques on how to deal with it, cope with it better and be more productive. A lot of you may have, some of you may have questions, opinions, points that you would like to share with us, and we would love to hear from you. So we are open to questions. Please go ahead and ask us.
Guys, please unmute yourself. Even if you don't want to switch on the video, that's okay. But please unmute and ask them. Yeah, Shikha. You're muted, Shikha.
Hello, ma'am. I think
Shikha, you're muted.
Yeah, very good evening. So it was a lovely session, as all have already told you. So basically, my question is, I'm a mother of 2 children, and I see my children procrastinating. So basically, as a mother, I know they are procrastinating. So what should be my emotional balance? How to retain my emotional balance? Because I'm seeing them doing wrong. So any suggestions for me?
So Shikha, you were like obviously telling that seeing them, it's something your emotional regulation is not on place, right? So I'm assuming what you're experiencing is that anger.
A bit of it.
Mhm. Okay. So when that is the case, now to be very honest, we can't tell the children always or like dictate them what to be done, right? So in that way, this is journaling is something that you can definitely do that can be effective, or probably talking with them, keeping a very open communication.
Okay.
Even if they don't listen, look for the right mood. Any time of the day, they're not going to be completely hanging out, right? Some of the time, they're going to be sitting, and they would be in a pleasant mood. So catching them in that mood and then talking about it, emphasizing about the importance of the work that they need to be done. That can be sometimes very helpful.
I would like
Shika,
to
I would
add,
also like to add
please,
that,
Shanaz, go ahead.
with the pandemic and, all of us are housebound, all of us struggling with anxiety, stress, being cooped up. And may I know how old your children are?
One is 27, he's already working, and daughter is also a psychologist. So basically, I'll just give you an example. She keeps on telling me, Mama, I'm going to start my own counseling session online, but it will be on a later stage. I tell her, start. No, I'll do it. I'll do it when the right time comes. So many a times I feel, is she killing time?
True. And as a mother, however old your children are, you still feel that sense of responsibility that you have to guide them. They have to be on the right track.
I shouldn't guide them. Actually, they are on their own. They
so
should
maybe
be
understand, right? So maybe understanding what is making her do that. What's making her put it off for later? As we said, that the procrastination is not a time management problem. It's an emotion management problem. Not many times we want things to be just perfect. So we keep saying, I will do it when the time is right.
Yeah.
Fear of failure is another emotion that could trigger off procrastination. So maybe having a heart-to-heart with them about their emotions, not focusing on the problem as to why are you not doing it and why are you procrastinating it, but more as a friend trying to understand their emotions, where they are coming from, may help you deal with it a little more better, I think.
Okay, thank you, Shanaz. Nupur was adding something more, I think.
Yes,
Nupur?
I think I was in the same line. So basically, when we talk about somebody else not understanding, or we want other people to do something, maybe we have this belief that they must do something, and we have this our mindset that they need to follow something, or they must do it in this particular way, which is making us angry. So, if we keep that, our rigid belief a little aside and talk to them, like Sharnaz said and Divya mentioned, maybe it will help us move ahead.
Thank you so much. I'm going to try it.
Absolutely.
All the best.
Thank you so much.
All the best.
We have a question from Deepika.
Yes.
How will I know the difference between whether I am having a time management issue or I am procrastinating?
Can we have Deepika just explain one scenario wherein she's experiencing this, so that we can give her a better idea?
Hi.
Hello. Hi, Deepika.
Hi, Shanaz. Hi, Divya. Sorry, I'm not on my video because I'm not really dressed appropriately.
All right, that's all right.
No issues. That's perfectly okay.
Yes, so I'm always confused whether I procrastinate or whether I genuinely find it hard to manage my time. Because as I put up a message earlier, in the morning, these days, because it's a pandemic and we don't need to really rush and go anywhere, I tend to always sit and, spend more time on probably reading the paper or probably seeing the phone or, doing any activity which I would generally on a normal day take lesser time to do. But now I give it a little more time. I sort of, say that it's okay, we have enough time and things like that. And I'll keep looking at the time. I will see that I'm probably not on schedule. I will be delayed if I do go on this way. So that makes me feel that though there is a part of me which is probably procrastinating, but am I also not considering the time seriously? So that's where I get confused whether I'm genuinely having a time management issue, or is it I'm just procrastinating?
Should I go ahead?
Please do.
Yeah, so yes, Deepika. So like you mentioned that because of the lockdown, you don't have to rush anywhere, you don't have to reach anywhere, you have been procrastinating. Maybe because you have more time in your hand. So I think I've explained a similar example in one of our stories of Kia, wherein because she's at home and she might be just engaging in something else rather than the work she's supposed to do at that moment. And it's because maybe you don't have to catch a train or book a cab to go somewhere. So I think we all are procrastinating a little bit on this level. So certain techniques, like I said, would help really a lot if you want to, stop delaying your task and get back to the schedule. So a technique like understanding, first of all, why am I procrastinating? Just determining your internal belief of what is exactly happening. If it is that, I have a lot of time. Then what time? How much time do I have? The more you introspect, you will get your answer. And once you introspect and get your answer, you can actually work on it. This is what I wanted to say. Anyone, if you want to add something, please go ahead. Thank you.
One another small exercise that may help, Deepika, is to identify your emotions, your feelings, and name them. And when you are able to name your emotions, maybe you will get more clarity of thought of what you're doing as procrastination or time management.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I will do that. I will find out what emotion I feel during that time. I haven't thought in that way at all. I only wonder about the action I do. I don't think what emotion is related to that. Because the first time I'm hearing that it is an emotional struggle than, time management is something new for me. So yes, I will think about it. Thank you.
And when you are able to name that feeling, you will be able to approach that problem in a more detailed manner as well as in a more systematic manner.
Right.
So it will help to name that feeling.
Yeah, I'd like to add to what Sharna was talking. So naming the feeling and also noticing that how much repetition has this been. If you think that it is more of a time management or emotional management, look at the emotion and see whether this has been a repeating aspect. And if it's so, you have an answer with yourself.
Okay, thank you so much, Divya.
Any other questions from the chats or anything that Masira, I think if there are any questions that need to be addressed, if you could bring them up, it would be helpful.
No, there's no question.
Yes, ma'am. I have a question.
Yes. Please go ahead.
Hi. First of all, I thank all of you for hosting this great event. I learned a lot, but the key takeaway that I take is it is about emotion. So I'm going to throw a big question on you. So it is not about time, it is about emotion. So I know many of you will agree with me. We are procrastinating because we are thinking too much. What will they think about me if I don't do this assignment or presentation, whatever that we value so much? So we are valuing it so much. We have the anxiety. We are thinking about the end result. So we take so much time. So here this is new to me. I completely understand. I agree with you. Feeling plays a huge role. How do we go about it? Is there a tactics, techniques? I know this is a big question to manage emotions. I would like to know your ideas, thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go for this. So Arun, I was just like mentioning about the emotional slide, just a second last slide, I guess. So where I was talking about the various emotions that a person goes. When you actually introspect and when you feel that there are emotional, like I'm getting irritated, I'm getting angry, or I'm actually getting anxious. Certain tasks like doing a journaling, doing a grounding technique, speaking with someone, or doing affirmations. These are some of the very few self doing tactics, I would say. You can do this for yourself and see how exactly are you responding to it. Are you able to communicate? The reason why I'm telling all this is it's a connection with self. And emotions is definitely a connection about self, right? The moment you do all of this, you can know that where exactly you're standing. What is exactly bothering you? Shahnaz or Noor, anything you guys want to add?
Yes, I agree with what Divya is saying. There were some self-help techniques, some self-help tools that Divya and Nupur both discussed, and those are very helpful. You can practice it. Also, it's not that you do it and you do it once or you do it twice and you will be an expert at it. It may take time. It takes practice. It takes repetition for you to be uh, good with that technique. Having said that, I'll go a step forward. That if at a point you feel that I am trying, I've tried everything that I could, tried all the techniques, done different kind of things, and yet I'm not progressing. I'm not able to deal with this problem. It's always helpful to seek a mental health professional. It's a myth that you have to be mentally ill or you have to have some serious problem to see a mental health professional. To be a better version of yourself, you can seek a mental health professional. Although I would also say that, even for a mental illness, there is no reason to hesitate or wonder whether you should go to seek help, seek professional help or not. We do not do that when we are physically ill. Then why hesitate and think twice when we have any mental health issues? Our mental health is as important as our physical health, if not more so. So it's up to us how we take care of it, how we look after it, and when the need arises, please seek a professional. And as you all know that we at Sage Advice have a professional team of dedicated counselors from across the country. They are experts qualified in various fields of counseling. Please feel free to connect with us. There is also a poll that has come up. I would really request each one of you to answer this poll. It would help us to streamline as well as make our content, make our webinars more interesting, more relevant. I hope that answers your question adequately. Any other questions? Any other opinions?